Starship Troopers Terran Command was developed by the Aristocrats and published by Slytherin Limited. It was released in June of 2022 on Steam and has received a ton of support from the developers themselves, as well as the community with mods, with mod-made maps and campaigns and such, which is pretty cool. Now, if you are a fan of Starship Troopers, more Starship Troopers games is a good thing for the most part. Unfortunately, because obviously the developers didn't obviously have that big of a budget, because although Starship Troopers Terran Command is a good RTS game, it does feel like a dated one, unfortunately. But that's not necessarily a complete negative, as I do have fun playing the game. It's really cool being able to play as the mobile infantry and go up against the arachnids themselves, even though some of the animations are a bit dated compared to a lot of more modern RTSs today. But it's still pretty cool, and it still has a load of content coming out for it for free. The game does have 2 DLCs, one called Urban Onslaught, the other one called Raising Hell. They were originally priced quite high, but I have noticed lately that the prices of them have dropped, which I'm thankful for. I think they were about £16 to £20 each-ish, I think, but now they're both less than £10 here in the UK, so that's really cool. They've also implemented a new game mode as well, which is pretty cool, Territory mode, and they've included 11 maps inside the base game for this. They've also included 9 maps for the Raising Hell DLC and 7 for Urban Onslaught. And it seems to be a pretty cool game mode. You can actually select where you want to go. It's kind of like, I can't remember the name of the campaign, but it was in the later Warhammer Dawn of War game. Or kind of Galactic Conquest, that's it. Star Wars Battlefront it. It's kind of like Galactic Conquest in that respect, which is pretty cool. But like I said, there's still more content to come. And apparently at the end of 2025, we're getting new planet environments, we're getting new arachnid units, new maps, objectives, some new battle groups as well, which are these little groups of, well, it's just basically factions, essentially. So we're getting that, some new technologies and gameplay mechanics, which is pretty cool. And then early next year in 2026, there's apparently a new campaign with new missions, planets, environments, player units, arachnid units, etc. And there's also more territory mode content coming out and more battle groups. So it's really good to see that the developers are still ploughing on and supporting the game. Now, just because obviously it's a small developer and they are doing what they can, it doesn't take away from the fact the game does have some minor issues for me personally. Number one is balancing. With every update they do, sometimes it gets a bit shifty with units. They then don't work the way they should, because you have engineer units that can build emplacements and such, and you have obviously medics, so you can actually heal people and regain, obviously just regain your group of units, which is pretty cool. But they keep changing it, and sometimes the balancing goes out and the arachnids can absolutely floor you. The arachnids themselves, they're savage as all hell. They're pretty good, and they will swarm the ever-living crap out of you. You can go and take out their bug holes as well, which is pretty cool, so you can do that. It would be a lot more cool if you could just nuke it from a distance, but you've got to send troops into it and take it out. There are also tanker bugs as well, which is pretty cool. Some of the levels are a tad too long for me personally, and unfortunately the film's soundtrack is not in this game, just like with Starship Troopers Extermination, which is an absolute crying shame. I wish they got the license for that, because if you had the actual theme song playing whilst you were doing the thing, it would be absolutely awesome. There are some missions and some sections of missions where you actually have to fight other humans, like prisoners that are broke out or whatever it is, and unfortunately, much like with Aliens Fireteam fighting the pathogen shit, it's wank. We don't want that. Like in Aliens, we want to fight xenomorphs. We want to fight aliens. In Starship Troopers, we want to fight arachnids, not humans, because that part did annoy the crap out of me. And like I said, the animations are still a bit weak, but everything else pretty much is standard RTS fare. I'm not going to elongate this video and make it any longer than I need to. It's what you're seeing on the screen is what you're gonna get. It's pretty cool. It has basic mechanics. As you can see, you can have people put on gun emplacements. When you have your troops replenished and you have to go to these special places, your troops will be dropped down via the ships, which look like they do in the movie, so that's pretty cool as well. And with all the free content coming out and the community stuff as well, there is plenty to offer from Starship Troopers Terran Command. But I would advise, and for me personally, even though its full price for the base game is £25, which is, I'd say, a sensible price for the game, when it launched, I was a little disappointed. It was quite bare bones and stuff. Now it's much better. It has loads of, like I said, the modded community, and it also that you can access from within the game, and it also has the DLCs if you want to get those separately. It's entirely up to you. But now I'd say that's not too bad of a deal, but just be aware that what you're getting, if you are Starship Troopers fan, then I'd say yes if you're into RTSs, but just be careful because there is a slight bit of jank there, and there is some minor frustrations in the AI and the animations and that kind of stuff. Your troops, if you set them to attack and run, which is a standard thing in games, unlike with other RTSs, where they'll like stop and shoot the enemy, then carry on and move. No, your troopers will run straight into the arachnids, and if obviously, just like in the movies, if they get within stabbing or biting in half distance of the arachnids, your troops will just get mauled. So you kind of have to keep on top of it and micromanage all the time, which does my absolute tits in, if I'm honest. But I do like the game. I do have fun with the game. On Steam, it does have 84 Steam achievements, so you can go and get those achievements, which is pretty nifty. I don't think it launched with achievements, if I remember rightly, but it has them now. And Steam achievements is a thing. I love me some Steam achievements. That's why I steer clear of Dawn of War Remastered, or whatever it's called. It had no Steam achievements at launch, and I already have the original Game of the Year edition, so I was not going to bother upgrading. If it does have Steam achievements, I will give it a second glance. But Starship Troopers Terran Command, if you're completely unsure, I would wait for a sale. The good thing with Steam is anyway, you can play less than 2 hours, and within 14 days of buying it, you can get your money back. So you could always do that. But yeah, Starship Troopers Extermination and Starship Troopers Terran Command are all we have in the modern day for playing Starship Troopers. They are both good, but they are both obviously on the lower scale. They're AA games, they're not AAA games. So hopefully one day we get some AAA goodness with Starship Troopers. Not to take away from the good that Extermination and Terran Command are doing, of course, but this is all we have. But please let me know in the comments down below if you have checked this game out, and as always, thank you very much for watching.